All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Couples Academy Show. My name is Sasani.
I'm Danielle.
And we're here every single morning about 9:30. And we get an opportunity to talk to you about all things life, love, marriage, and all the things that make a relationship work. We're headquarters here in Atlanta, Georgia, the only place to be. The best place on the planet, as long as we're here.
How do y'all like this music? Hassani's been our DJ, trying to put the beats in. Somebody had commented, I like the new tunes.
Well,
okay.
We're trying.
Okay, we like the playlist.
It's called edutainment, folks. Edutainment. You get to be entertained as you get educated about what it takes to make your relationship work. So we want to hear from you wherever you're dialing in from. Let us know what city, what country you're in.
Yes, so today on the Couples Academy Show, we're talking about how to put intimacy back into your marriage. So join us now.
All right, guys, we're back.
We're back.
We're talking about all things affection today.
Affection, touching, intimacy, connection, love.
Don't get me started. We live. But see, this is what's important because there's so many people who are in marriages and they feel like they're starving for affection, starving for attention, starving for affection. I'm just saying, it's a real situation.
Some people just can't get enough. Come on, y'all. Hello out there. Can I get an amen? Some people just can't get enough since we waving hands and stuff.
Starving for affection. And you want more, and you want more, and you want more because that's your language.
It was affectionate for me to make you a sandwich yesterday. That was me showing affection.
Well, that's the problem because that didn't speak to my love.
Because I gave you that sandwich with all the love I had.
You love me straight.
I even put some extra mayonnaise.
You know what? You may have loved me genuinely, but you love me wrong because the sandwich don't do it the way the touch does.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Like, can I give you love the way that I want to receive it, or do I have to give it to you in the way that you need it?
Well, I'm saying if you enter into a partnership, you enter into a business transaction, you enter into an agreement, it's got to be mutually beneficial.
Why did you need to say, you just triggered a whole bunch of people by saying a business transaction?
I'm giving different examples of things that when people come together, if it's not going to be mutually beneficial where both parties win, then it's parasitical, where one wins and one loses and one's always accommodating and one's always going along with, even though they get the short end of the stick and they're not feeling satisfied. So listen, if you're going to do this thing called life and marriage, doesn't it make sense to know what it is that your partner wants that expresses affection for them in the relationship?
It does.
That's how it works. That's how it works, folks.
Yeah. So let's say hello to some people. Do you want to scroll through? Because sometimes we're both scrolling and you want to scroll through. Okay, I'm going to go through it. So, hey, Paul, good morning. Oh, I can't forget to say hello to Angel, Heather. Hey, Rachie, Brian, Calvin. Good to see you. Lisa. Who else is in the building? We got Facebook user. Okay. You might want to update that Facebook user. We got Jay Yasuna. Yashana. Good to see you. Good morning. Vashan. Hey. And I think we got everybody. Xanadu, Kathy, good to see you, and Anita. Thank you guys for joining us.
So let's get into the conversation. Whatever your situation is, whether you're newlyweds, whether you've been married for 10, 20, 30 years, and you're looking at each other like, we're just roommates. Whether you are overcoming hurt and pain and you're in your recovery process, affection is an important ingredient to a healthy relationship. And when we're talking about affection, you have to understand it means different things to different people.
Right.
And that's why it's important to have a working operational definition that both of you are in understanding of, because isn't it true that you can actually use the same word, but each of you have a different meaning for that word?
Sure.
And you're speaking in the same language, but you walk away with two different understandings because you haven't clarified some things.
Right.
So what affection may mean to you may be different than what affection means to another. So Danielle, when you think about affection, what does affection mean to you? Like, how do you like to receive affection?
I love gifts. Gifts. And guess what? It doesn't have to be you got to go to the store and buy something. I like the gift of somebody actually thinking about me. And I had to figure that out because my father's crazy. You already know, we've talked about that. But one thing that he did when I was very little is that every time he would leave the house, he would bring something back to me. So that really went deep. And I looked at that was his way of showing me love. So it could be anything. He could have brought me a candy or something like that. So when Hassani would go and travel earlier in our marriage, he would go somewhere and come back empty handed. I would look at him like, is there something wrong with you? Are you broken? Did you actually go somewhere and not bring me anything back? You didn't bring me a card. You didn't bring me anything that comes from the state that you were in or anything. And so I discovered about myself that it's actually the fact that you thought about me. So you took the time to think about me. That means you could have written a note, put a sticky on my mirror. You could have got a cup, a card, anything that is really meaningful to me. So the gift is actually somebody taking the time to pause and think about me.
Yeah, that makes, and I didn't get that at first because I'm like, why does it have to be about gifts and why I got to come out my pocket and what are you materialistic?
Right, I'm like, you didn't even think of me while we were going. So you were out and you never even thought.
Right. You know? So I didn't know that she associated a gift with, you're going out of your way to do something nice for me. I'm thinking like, you know what, I'm kind of low right now. And the way my savings account is set up, I just wasn't in a position, but I realized it wasn't about how much I spent. It wasn't about name brands. It was about what it represented. Now, that's interesting. And a lot of people need to understand that may be your spouse's gift. Love language. Now, here's the deal. When you form this relationship, is not a gift given. It's called the gift of a ring. That gift represents and symbolizes something. So you're initiating your marriage with a gift. So why would you stop once you say?
Well, and then there's the other side of it, because I know so many women in particular, I'm speaking for the women right now, that gifts are just not their thing. They could care less about a gift. Gifts have no meaning whatsoever. Give me your time. Give me your words. How about that? Give me your affection. So it's really important for us to understand. That doesn't mean that don't ever give me a gift for some of these people, right? That doesn't mean I do not want you to give me a gift, but it just means that gifts don't hold that level of weight. I'm more concerned about the affection that you give me. Can I get a compliment today? Can you let me know that you see me, right? So those are the things that stand out for other people. And that's why we have to have that conversation to find out what's important to them. So I want to ask you, Hassani, how do you perceive love?
That's a good question because, gifts, that's really not my thing. Matter of fact, when it comes to birthdays and Christmas, I'm like,
so annoying. So annoying.
It's just, I'm good.
So annoying. Like he says, I don't know. We get him books and we try to force him to want stuff.
Well, because for me, a book is a gift that keeps giving because I guess it depends upon how you're wired, what your motivations are, what your passions are. I have a thirst for learning, for knowledge. So a book is an amazing gift for me. Like think about the Muhammad Ali book I just bought. That was a huge, huge thing for me because that's what I value. Anyway, in terms of affection for me, is touch. I love touch.
Yes, Lord.
And you have to understand, for those of you who love touch, we're not talking about sex. That's not necessarily. That's not what we're talking. We're talking about non-sexual touch in the context of affection. Sexuality is something different. We're talking about affection here, right? Yeah. So we're not talking about touch that stimulates. We're not talking about touch that has a goal attached. We're just talking about touch. Rubbing, touching, holding, squeezing, pleasing.
He's so
teasing.
Happy right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's what speaks to me. And so when I go lacking of that, I'm like, what's going on up in here? So that's when I said some people are starving for affection because they need it. And here's the reality. Like my love language doesn't have to be hers. And it's important for you to understand, like you have to learn to become bilingual in your relationship, right? Because if my only objective is meeting her need and her only objective is meeting my need in the area of affection, don't we both win? And so a question came, I don't know, I think it's Xanadu, yes, but how do you handle it when they don't know what their love language is? Well, it's really simple. Just go take the test. There are many people who've never read the book, The 5 Love Languages, but they've heard of it. But whether you've read the book or not, just thinking about those 5 words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, giving of gifts, you can get some type of idea about what it is that your spouse or you yourself have a liking for. But if you don't know, take the test. It takes 10, 15 minutes. And based upon how you answer the questions, then those love languages will come out. And then you want to test it. Test each love language for a week and see how your partner responds to that particular language. Then you'll know. So that's the empirical data that you need to do that will help out.
Yeah. You want to jump into the first two?
Yeah, sure. Let's go into the first tip. So in terms of affection, there's a couple things that we need to do. Number one, initiate a kiss. There's nothing wrong with that. Like a lot of times people only kiss when they're greeting or leaving their partner. I mean, but that's better than nothing because some people just don't kiss at all. But initiating a kiss, and we're not talking about a deep throat, passionate kiss, but a kiss is just, it's a form of acknowledgement.
Kiss
it's a greeting. It's a touch. It's something that's necessary to do. Right. Initiating a kiss is a huge thing, and it represents something. It communicates, I'm thinking about you. I care about you. I love you. And let the kiss like 5 seconds. Right. Don't do that and go about your way.
I'll be doing that a lot. You know why? Because I'm busy. But y'all already know we're so transparent on this show. Okay, so you already know that affection isn't necessarily my love language. I'm so autonomous. I'm good. But I do try to make it my business to remember to show him affection. Of course, not enough for him because he can never get enough. He can never get enough of me. He can never get enough.
But some practical things, like, you know how many couples think about it when you're on the couch watching TV, watching the news, watching a movie. That couch feels like it's a mile long. You're on one end of the couch, your spouse is on the other end of the couch, but get close. Like, I'm not saying you have to be wrapped up in and spooning on the couch, but get close and touch, because touch releases a chemical called oxytocin. It's the love feeling, right? It produces that feel-good hormone that allows people to experience some form of a connection.
Let me read a couple comments here. It's Angel says, I thought loving hubby with 1 Corinthians was enough. It's not. Hubby is definitely that requires more, and I do too. You require more, and I do too. You want to love me, help me. If you want to love me, help me with these 3 boys. Okay, y'all do some typo checking first. But Angel, I hear you. In other words, you need more support. That's what it sounds like to me. I get it. I have 4 kids, and sometimes all the burden rests on us. So if you really love me, keep all the affection and show me some help with these boys. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, but let me just jump into that because I think you made a good point. You thought that 1 Corinthians type of love was all that was needed. And I think it's important that we understand that there's eros love, that emotional, sensual, connecting type love between 2 partners, a companionship. Then you have phileo love. That's that caring type of love. I'm going to do things for you because I care about you.
Yeah.
And then there's God's agape love, and that really kicks in when you're in a bad space. See, that's what keeps you from leaving, giving up, throwing in the towel, and calling it quits. And so it forces you to rise above where you're at that particular moment and allowing the supernatural power of God to work through you to sustain you while you're going through challenges. But if you're not in a challenge, you need to find the balance between eros, phileo, and agape. So you're right. It's just not enough.
Let me just say this. Kiss for 5 seconds. Say it again, Hassani. Kiss for 5 seconds.
Kiss for 5 seconds.
Okay. I want to go to a Facebook user. They're saying, my love language changed from words of affirmation to physical touch. My wife's love language is quality time, but also shifting to physical touch also. And you know that can happen because a lot of times our love language is because of a deficit, right? So if all the areas of my cup are already full, right? I'm already getting the touch and the time, but I don't get the words of affirmation. I might actually have more of a need. Like, I need to hear you say it. I need you to affirm me. So a lot of times once that cup is full, and if something else is lacking and we're not balanced in other areas, we'll see different love language begin to rise to the surface.
Absolutely. So let's go into another love language since we're talking about this. Quality time. Now you mentioned it. And we say this all the time, like some people, to your point, you've said you're busy like 3-4 times. And guess what? We live busy lives. We work full-time jobs. We have children. We have extracurricular. We have all these things going on. And so in our book, The Audacity of Marriage, is a chapter entitled How to Have a Time-Rich Marriage, because you can't continue to give your spouse the leftovers of who you are. It's just like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I've had all this stuff going on. I'm exhausted. And I used to be that guy. Like every time there was time for us, don't let's not get on the couch and watch a movie and have to be still.
I would be so mad.
Because I'm working and I have to be fully engaged. And then if I get in a nice restful position, it is a wrap.
Right. I'm like, let's have some quality time, babe. Or he'd be like, let's have some quality time, babe. Let's do a date night tonight. I'd be like, okay, let's do a movie. We would go to the movies or go watch a movie in the house. I turn, this dude is leaning to the side. But guess what? When it's time to hop in the bed, he's wide awake. He got all this energy. I'm like, hold up.
That's because I have to move.
Sleep on me now?
No. See, you taking it the wrong way.
Y'all know.
Wait a minute. When you're sexually intimate, you have to be moving.
We gotta balance.
When you're watching a movie, you're just sitting there. You see what I'm saying?
Funny today. Xanadu says, keep your hug and fix a plate.
See, that's acts of service, and that's a good point. And see, that's what's critically important for your partner to understand. What is it that works for you? Because if I'm buying Danielle, for instance, flowers and candy, but I'm not, to your point, fixing a plate and helping out with the kids, just like, all right, thank you. She puts that down, but can you help me with these dishes? Like, you've got to know what it is that your spouse needs.
Yeah.
And some of us are so stuck. Well, that's just not who I am. And that's not how I was raised. And we didn't do affection like that. And so don't be expecting me to do nothing that I ain't grow up doing. Well, dude, lady, listen, if you've left your house at 18, 19 years old and you're in your 30s and your 40s, that means your growth has been stunted since you left your home.
Yeah.
Like, grow, develop, do what you need to do to accommodate and adapt to the situation so that you can have the best relationship possible.
Yep. Okay, Paul says, and we're going to go to point 2. Paul says, I'm a touchy-feely person and my wife is not. I love to show affection by just kissing her on the back of her neck or rubbing her feet and back. And I guess she don't like that, huh? Well, you know what? That goes into personality styles, doesn't it? It has a lot to do with it. A lot of times you have certain personality styles that are so autonomous and distant. And because I'm calling myself to the table because I'm not very affectionate in that way. We need to train ourselves to do. And the more you train yourself to do and do it uncomfortable, just like when you learn to ride a bike and it feels awkward, it becomes more comfortable. When Hassani and I were going through some things that I don't remember exactly what, but there were some things that he was doing that seemed robotic. And I would be like, I'm a big thing on genuineness and authenticity. And I would be like, oh, you're just doing that or you're just doing it because I said it. And I had to learn to accept that he's doing it. He's doing it uncomfortable. He's doing it because I need that until it becomes comfortable to him. And in that same way, those of us that tend to not be affectionate, but are married to somebody who really requires and needs affection, we have to learn that and we have to practice it. And sometimes we fall off and then they pull us and they say, hey, I need you. You haven't been touching me lately. And then we have to get right back on it because it's not natural to us, but we can learn it.
Yeah. Another type of affection, and then I just want to hit these questions, is words of affirmation. Like, one of the tips, write your spouse a love letter, put it in the mail, put a stamp on it, let it show up at the house. Let your partner open it up. Let them be surprised. Oh my God, this came from my spouse. Buy them a card. Like, there's so many things that you can do that can express your heart, that can express. And so some of us are like, well, I just, I'm not that good with words and I just don't know what to say. Listen, there's so many different ways that you can support that effort to give your spouse what they need. But what we talked about this before, some people are not just starving for affection, they're starving for affirmation. They're starving for acknowledgement. Like, do you even acknowledge who I am and that I'm here and how I'm showing up? I want to be built up by you. I want to be poured in by you. I want you to speak into my life. And it seems like because you don't, now I have to go somewhere else, to my girlfriends and to my male friends and to my colleagues, to get what I'm not getting from home. It is a need of mine. And so I think that we have to become highly adaptable. We have to accommodate our partner where their greatest need is. We have to make sure that it's mutually beneficial so that we win.
I got to read this one last thing. Akron says, should you hold on to opposite sex friends, which you confided in, find attractive, compared your spouse to when you originally wanted a divorce? The friends are friends from childhood.
You answer that question.
This is not your first time on the Couples Academy.
You put in every single step of the way that we talked about.
You literally answered your own question. You know exactly what we're gonna say. Go on, Hassani, to the next point.
All right. So, well, we talked about them. We're talking about the 5 love languages ultimately and what affection looks like. And so what we're saying is take the test, discover what it is, and go on a mission to really, pour into your spouse. Like, what a great season and an opportunity. There's so many things happening around the world that we used to do that we can no longer do. There's no distractions like we had before. We can't go out and date. So you got to be intentional to double down on the things that work, because it doesn't require any other thing but for you two to connect and to discover what the love language is and to pour into each other. And then, you know what, after you do something, have a conversation about it. Like, first of all, when you do something, did they acknowledge it? Maybe they weren't aware. You know, a lot of times people don't pay attention to everything that's happening in the moment, and they have to be reminded. But having a conversation about it, revisiting it, talking about it. How can I serve you? How can I speak into your life? How can I give you affection in a way that works for you? And having those conversations will really help you.
Yes. Bryant says his needs, her needs, those emotional needs must be met within the confines of the marriage. Absolutely. If
you don't know what that book is Dr. Willard Harley, His Needs, Her Needs, How to Affair-Proof Your Marriage. And it's not just about affair-proofing. It's something that everybody needs, and it covers the 10 most important emotional needs of men and women. So yeah, I definitely encourage you to read that. These are the things that we're talking about on this show, and these are the things that are important for you to begin to pour back into your marriage. There's nothing worse than being in a marriage where you feel like you are roommates, where you are role mates, where you are cellmates, when you've done all these things and you can't get back on track. So sometimes you got to go back to the basics. And when you go back to the basics, all of a sudden things begin to change for you. Guys, we're talking about how to put affection back into your relationship. I hope it's helping out. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Welcome back. You're watching the Couples Academy show, and I want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. We're on a mission to spread this information to as many married couples as we can. We're on a mission. We have a calling to save marriage. It's a passion. It's a calling. It's a mantle, and we want you guys to join us in that effort. Yes, we are based here in Atlanta, Georgia, but we work with couples all over the world, and it's been a blessing to do so. You might have seen in that ad, we have the Moving Forward program, and you guys who've been tuning in every day, you might be thinking, I need more. I'm stuck and I need to move forward. And we have a beautiful 6-month program. There's a platform with comprehensive programs and activities and worksheets that you engage in. There are weekly training calls that are similar to this that go way deeper into the teaching.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface here.
So much accountability, holding your hand through the process, because at the end of the day, that's what you need. When you are going through a process, you need someone to hold your hand so that there's accountability. That's why we go to the gym. gym. That's why we hire trainers in every area of our life, business and fitness, because we need accountability to get us there. And that's what we do through the Moving Forward program and many other things that we offer here.
Absolutely. So guys, we hope that you enjoyed today's show. We want to let you know that it is not over. There's more to come. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this across all of your platforms. Let the people know that we're here. We hope that you got something out of today's program. Tomorrow is Friday. You can ask every question under the sun that you want about your relationship, and we will give you answers.
Your questions.
Yeah.
I was waiting on you now.
And guess what? We're gonna receive calls tomorrow. So if you want to call in, you can call in. Now, if you want to know what that number is, I believe it is 678-200-8996. And we'll make sure that you get on the air tomorrow. So love you. See you in the morning.
Bye.
Take care.